High above the quiet curve of Earth, the old stars shone with their silent light. The wide dark of space stretched in every direction. Among that calm darkness floated a silver-blue world that held countless lives, dreams, and stories. Yet far from Earth's knowledge, hidden among distant constellations, another world watched it carefully. That world was the center of the Arvian Empire. The Arvian Empire had existed for many ages. It was known for its proud rulers, tall castles made of shining crystal metal, and great fleets that crossed star systems. The Arvians were tall and graceful. Their language was sharp and melodic. Their royal family believed that they ruled among the strongest civilizations. Many distant species had bowed to their authority. So when they looked at Earth, they saw no united empire, no large cosmic armies, no great space cities. They believed Earth was weak and small. Their pride blinded them. Inside the high hall of the Arvian palace, the royal council gathered. The hall was wide and bright. Light shone from the crystal ceiling. The queen sat on her throne. Her name was Queen Arvela. Her long robes flowed like water. Around her stood members of the royal guard and wise advisors. A star map hovered in the air, glowing. One of the advisors pointed to the tiny blue light that represented Earth. "This is the world we speak of," the advisor said. "It has only begun space travel. They do not have a central ruler. There is no grand army. A good target to test our expansion." The queen nodded slowly. Her golden eyes were calm yet certain. "If they are weak, then they will not resist. Send a small strike group, not a full army. We do not waste resources on unworthy foes." A young noble general stepped forward. His expression was proud. "I will lead the strike group. I will return with a report of easy success." The council agreed. They believed the mission would be simple. They believed Earth would offer no challenge. They believed humans were gentle creatures without strength to match great empires. They did not know they were about to learn something new. Meanwhile, far away on the small human outpost near the moon, the atmosphere was calm. The outpost was not large. It was made of smooth metal walls and connecting tunnels. It held only a few living rooms, research spaces, communication halls, and observation windows facing the quiet gray surface of the moon. The stars could be seen clearly through wide glass panels. The human scout unit stationed there was not a military army. It was a group of explorers and observers sent to watch for signs of new space life. They worked together closely and lived simple routines. The unit was led by a man named Ryan. Ryan was calm and thoughtful. His hair was short and dark. His eyes held quiet focus. He was not loud or forceful. He believed in understanding before action. Many would say he did not look like a warrior. Yet there was something steady about him, a strength that came not from aggression but from patience and awareness. With him in the outpost were 3 others. Mira worked with system controls and energy fields. She was quick with her hands and had a playful smile. Joel focused on drone operation and scouting. He observed patterns and movements with sharp attention. Hannah was the planning mind of the group. She studied diplomacy, communication, and strategy. She understood different cultures and languages. The 4 of them worked as a team. They shared meals in the small dining room. They laughed at simple stories. They took turns watching the stars through the viewing window. Their life was calm and steady. One day, as they checked usual readings, an alarm signal flashed quietly on Mira's screen. It was not loud. It was small and subtle, a soft light that blinked with slow rhythm. Mira leaned forward and narrowed her eyes. "Ryan," she called. "I think something is entering our scanning range." Ryan walked over calmly. "Show me." Mira expanded the display. A group of unfamiliar starships was approaching. Their shapes were long and sharp like wings. They moved in formation. They were not human-made. Hannah stepped closer. They are not from any known friendly civilization. No registered communication tag. Joel adjusted his drones and began scanning. Their formation is tight and direct. They are not passing by. They are coming to us. Ryan stayed quiet for a moment. He did not panic. He did not rush. He simply breathed and observed. "Open a standard greeting message," he said. "We will speak first." Hannah nodded and prepared the message. A soft voice recording was sent out into the silent space, offering peaceful communication, identification, and a wish to talk. They waited. The alien ships did not reply. Instead, they continued moving forward. Inside the lead Arvian ship, the noble general stood proudly. He saw the small human outpost and laughed lightly. "This is all they have, a tiny post with 4 humans. There is nothing to fear. Beside him, Arvian officers shared the same confidence. They believed humans were slow to understand. They believed humans would panic. They believed they had already won. One officer looked at the message the humans had sent. They asked to speak. Should we answer? The general dismissed the idea with a wave of his hand. There is no need. Let them watch our power. When they see strength, they will bow. The ships moved closer. Back in the outpost, the air grew tense but not chaotic. Ryan spoke in a steady tone. They did not respond. That means they believe they are in control. We will not act in fear. Everyone take positions according to the defensive plan. Mira moved to the shield controls. Joel launched observation drones. Hana opened secondary communication lines. Ryan stood near the viewing glass and watched the alien ships appear on the dark horizon of space. Their presence felt heavy, not because of fear, but because something important was happening. Rian placed his hand on the control panel and spoke slowly. They think we are only a small post. They think we will fall easily. We will show them that humans do not speak through size or numbers. We speak through how we stand, the others nodded. They did not need long speeches. They understood each other. The Arvian ships came to a stop near the outpost. Their weapons powered up. Lights glowed along the sides of their hulls. Their engines hummed with rising force. Inside the Arvian command room, the general raised his hand. Begin. The first bright beam of energy shot forward, but it did not strike the outpost. It curved, it bent, it broke apart. Mira had activated a defense field with perfect timing. She had studied the angle, movement, and frequency. She focused not on overwhelming power, but on redirecting energy, bending attacks away like wind moving around a stone. The Arvian officers blinked in confusion. Their sensors misread the situation. They could not understand how such a small post could respond so quickly. Ryan watched calmly. They are testing, he said. We will not respond with force. We respond with control. Joel's drones moved silently in the space around the enemy ships. They did not fire. They only gathered information, observing every movement, every energy pulse, every formation change. Joel worked with quiet precision, his fingers moving smoothly across controls. Hana watched speech patterns and ship signals. She understood that the aliens believed they were above conversation. They think strength is shown by display, she said softly. They do not understand our way. Ryan nodded. Then we will show it. From the viewing glass, Earth rested behind them. A blue world full of life, a world worth protecting, a world that did not need to shout to prove its value. Ryan stood tall, not in pride, but in steady peace. The aliens believed they had found weakness. They had actually found something different, something that would soon reshape their understanding. For now, the space was quiet, but the lesson had already begun. The space around the moon outpost remained still after the first exchange. The Arvian strike group floated just beyond the defense field, their ships forming a sharp line. The human outpost remained quiet and bright inside. No damage on its walls, no panic in its halls. The air was tense but controlled. Ryan stood near the large viewing window, watching the alien ships move slightly as they adjusted their angles. He could feel the pressure of the moment, but he did not allow it to rush his thoughts. Instead, he breathed slowly. Mira sat at the defense console. Her fingers hovered over the controls, ready to shift the energy field again. She did not speak, but her eyes were steady. She had trained for many years in energy systems. She trusted her skills and she trusted her team. Joel sat at the drone command station. 6 small scanning drones floated outside the outpost walls, unseen by the Arvian ships. Their engines were silent, their movements gentle. Joel watched their feeds closely. He studied the Arvian weapon placement, their shield patterns, and the formation of their smaller escort crafts. Hana stood by the communication deck. Her screen displayed incoming signals, patterns of energy pulses and frequency shifts. The Arvians still sent no direct communication. Their silence carried a message of pride. They wanted to be seen as the dominant force. Hana understood this well. She had studied many different alien cultures. Pride could be heavy. Pride could also create cracks. Ryan finally spoke. His voice was calm and clear. We will offer communication one more time. Hana nodded and sent another message. The words were simple and respectful. A request to speak. A reminder that the humans wished for peaceful exchange. a statement that they were prepared to defend themselves but hoped it would not be required. The message traveled across space. The Arvian ships did not respond with words. They responded by powering their weapons. Again, Mira tightened her jaw and prepared to redirect. Joel adjusted drone placement. Hannah monitored shield frequencies. Ryan watched the movement of the ships, reading them like a language. The second wave of energy came. This time it was not one strike. It was several, aimed at different points around the outpost. The Arvians believed that the humans would not be able to react to multiple angles at once. But Mira had already anticipated this. She moved her hands quickly and precisely. The defense field shifted shape. It did not simply block, it flowed. It absorbed and bent, guiding the beams away. The light from the blast spread like soft waves across the shield before dissolving completely. Inside the Arvian command room, the general stood with narrowed eyes. His pride began to thin. He had expected panic. He had expected damage. Yet the humans had defended without fear and without striking back. One of the Arvian officers spoke softly. Their shield adjustment rate is fast, faster than our predictive models. They are reacting before our signals complete their travel. The general did not answer. His pride would not allow him to accept what he saw. Back in the human outpost, Joel studied the new energy patterns. They are increasing power output, Joel said. Their ships are designed for rapid bursts. If they continue, they will overheat their front systems. Rian nodded. Then they are impatient, Hannah added. They believe overwhelming force will make us accept their terms. Ryan looked again at the viewing window. The alien ships looked sharp and cold. Yet beyond them the stars remained gentle. He spoke with a steady voice. Send our final message. Hannah prepared it. The message explained that the humans had no interest in conflict, no interest in taking territory, and no interest in challenging their empire. It asked for dialogue. It asked for understanding. It offered peace once more. The message left the outpost. This time, the Arvians replied. A voice crackled through the communication speakers. It was confident yet slightly strained. You are not in a position to negotiate. You are outnumbered. You are outclassed. We will decide the terms, Hannah remained calm and answered. We have shown no threat. We ask only for peaceful resolution. The Arvian voice responded quickly. Peace comes when you accept our authority. The line ended. Ryan did not show frustration. He simply placed his hands together behind his back. They are not ready to listen, he said. Then we change the field of understanding. He turned to Joel. Begin movement patterns. Joel nodded. His drones shifted silently. They moved closer to the Arvian ships, but not in a threatening path. Instead, they positioned themselves where they could observe weaknesses. Joel watched readings appear across his screen, lines of data showing shield stability, power flow, and structural balance. He processed the information with steady focus. Mira watched the defense field for any incoming strikes. She remained prepared. Hannah adjusted outgoing signals to prevent communication jamming. Rian stood between them. He was the center of their formation not because he commanded them with force, but because they trusted his calm. Outside, the drones reached new positions. Joel released a soft breath. I have found weak points, Joel said. Their front shield arrays are active, but their side panels are slower. If they keep powering forward attacks, their shields will become uneven. Rian nodded. We do not strike. We only guide their understanding. He turned to Mira. Can you adjust the field so that their next strike reflects energy toward their own unstable sections? Mira studied the readings. She ran quick calculations. She did not rush. After a moment, she nodded. Yes, I can. It will not cause destruction. It will only create a shock, enough to show control. That is enough, Ryan said. The Arvian ships prepared a third attack. This one was larger. The lights along their hulls glowed brighter. Engines pulsed. They wanted to show final dominance. They fired. Mira moved her hands in smooth arcs across the console. The defense field curved. It did not simply hold. It reshaped the path of the incoming energy. It guided the beam not outward, not into space, but sideways. The redirected beam struck the Arvian lead ship on its weaker shield panel. The glowing shield flickered. The ship shook slightly. It was not a damaging blow. It was a reminder. Inside the Arvian command room, silence fell. The general stared at his screen. His confidence began to fracture. They reflected our strike, one officer said. without attacking, without advancing, without ships, without numbers. Another officer spoke softly. They are only a scout unit. The general clenched his jaw. His voice was lower now. Prepare the elite squad. We will board their outpost and take control directly. The officers did not look certain, but they obeyed. Small Arvian transport ships detached from the main vessels. They moved toward the outpost with controlled speed. Inside the human base, Joel saw the movement. They are sending warriors, Joel said. Ryan nodded. Then we meet them as they are. Not with fear, not with anger, with discipline. Hana opened the internal defense corridors. Mira prepared short-range shielding. Joel positioned drones near entry points. None of them looked panicked. Their breaths were steady. They moved like one body. Outside, the Arvian transports reached the docking ring. Their doors opened. Tall, armored figures stepped into the human corridor. They carried stun weapons and moved with strict formation. Rian walked forward calmly, meeting them at the center passage. The lead Arvian warrior looked down at him. He had been told humans would show fear. He did not find any. Rian did not raise a weapon. He raised his voice. This outpost is under peaceful operation. You are entering without welcome. You can leave without conflict. You can choose respect. The Arvian warrior hesitated. It was a small hesitation, but it was real. He had expected shouting or silence. He had not expected steady clarity. One of the human drones floated slightly above, watching. Not attacking, only witnessing, the warrior spoke. His voice was deep. We do not accept orders from weak species. Ryan shook his head slowly. His tone remained even. Strength is not shown by entering another's home with force. Strength is shown by understanding when force is unnecessary. The corridor fell quiet for a moment. Then the Arvian warriors stepped forward again. Ryan moved aside. He did not block them. Instead, he made a small gesture. Mira activated a localized field. It was not harmful. It simply altered gravity for a moment. The warriors stumbled. Their formation broke, not from pain, from unfamiliarity. Joel's drones projected guiding lights, confusing their step movement. The warriors tried to regroup, but every time they moved as one, the humans shifted the environment gently, breaking rhythm. Hana spoke through the internal communication system. You came to show dominance, yet you cannot stand steady in a place where you are not prepared to understand. The Arvian warriors froze. They realized something. The humans were not fighting them. The humans were teaching them, not with lectures, with action. The warriors stepped back. The leader looked at Ryan again. You are only a scout unit, he said, but now his voice was quiet. Not proud. Ryan nodded once. Yes, we are. The leader did not speak again. He signaled retreat. The Arvian transports left the docking ring and returned to their ships. The space fell silent once more. Rian returned to the viewing glass. He stood with his team beside him. The next decision would come from the Arvian royal palace. The lesson had only begun. The battlefield was silent now. Smoke from the destroyed drones and laser cannons drifted lazily into the air, carrying the acrid smell of burnt circuits. Commander Rian lowered his visor and surveyed the devastation. Around him, the alien scouts, members of the Thalorian Royal Guard, stared in disbelief at what had just occurred. Their leader, High Prince Voran, was struggling to comprehend the outcome. How is this possible? Voran demanded, his voice echoing in the metallic canyon where the skirmish had taken place. We had 3 squads, each stronger than this. They should have crushed them immediately. Ryan removed his helmet, revealing a calm, unshaken human face. Sweat dotted his brow, but his eyes were steady, full of quiet determination. Your forces fought well, he said. But you underestimated humans. Strength is not just about size or numbers. Strategy, adaptability, and focus can change the tide of any battle. The Thalorian soldiers grumbled among themselves. They were trained for years to believe they were superior, chosen to guard their empire. Facing humans was supposed to be a simple training exercise. Yet now they had been humiliated before a single human squad. Lieutenant Mara stepped forward from Ryan's side, her hand resting on the hilt of her energy blade. They adapted to your formations faster than you could react. Every time they were pushed, they changed tactics immediately. They fought as one unit, not as individuals. That's why your numbers didn't matter. Voran's mandibles twitched. This was no ordinary enemy, he realized. The humans seemed to have an instinct, something primal that allowed them to anticipate attacks and counter them in ways the aliens could not. "What are you?" Vorin asked, finally lowering his weapon slightly. His voice was almost a whisper. "I've seen warriors, champions, and elite soldiers across 100 systems. None have ever done this. None have faced us and survived intact." Ryan glanced at the battlefield, where alien scouts lay scattered, some nursing minor injuries, others trying to hide the embarrassment on their faces. "We are humans," he said simply. "You call us weak because we are small, unarmored, and your records say we are primitive. But we survive. We learn, we adapt, and we fight smarter than you expect." The Thalorian prince's eyes widened in disbelief. "Smarter? You faced trained warriors and you call it strategy?" He gestured to the ground littered with alien tech. "Your weapons are inferior, your armor fragile. Yet you prevailed. How can this be?" Mara stepped closer, scanning the horizon. "Because humans fight for more than glory or duty," she said. "We fight for survival, for our families, for our people. That instinct gives us focus, resilience, and strength that no training alone can teach. You cannot calculate that in your equations or predict it in simulations. You experience it only when you face it." The alien soldiers exchanged uneasy glances. None of them had been trained to face an enemy like this. Every drill and combat simulation had assumed the opponent would act predictably. Humans did not. Humans thought differently. Humans moved differently. Humans fought differently. Vorin's eyes narrowed. He stepped forward, ignoring the protests of his guards. "Show me," he demanded. "What makes you so dangerous? Show me, human. Why your people survive where others fail." Ryan raised an eyebrow but did not respond immediately. He knew this moment could define the future of interstellar relations between humans and the Thalorians. One wrong move, one moment of arrogance could spark a war. Yet he could not back down. He had a duty to prove that humans were more than the aliens' assumptions. He took a step forward, his boots crunching on the scorched ground. "We fight with mind and body together," he said. "We do not rely on brute strength alone. Watch carefully and you may learn why we endure." He signaled to Mara, who nodded and activated a small device on her belt. The ground trembled slightly as hidden drones emerged, sleek and silent, gliding over the terrain. They projected holographic copies of the humans' movements, replicating complex maneuvers that the aliens could not anticipate. The Thalorian soldiers raised their weapons instinctively, but the holograms were already shifting formations, weaving around imaginary attacks, demonstrating evasive maneuvers and counterstrikes. Each movement was precise, efficient, and unexpected. Ryan continued, "Every human squad develops its own rhythm. We learn from each encounter and improve constantly. Even your best tactics become predictable if you rely on them too heavily. We adapt, we overcome, we survive." Vorin's mandibles twitched in frustration. He could not deny the elegance of the movements, the logic of the strategy, or the brilliance behind the human coordination. His soldiers were disciplined, powerful, but they lacked creativity in combat. Humans had it in abundance. "Your species is extraordinary," Vorin muttered almost to himself. He had to admit, against his pride, that humans were not simply another primitive species to be dismissed. They were a force of nature disguised as fragile beings. Mara glanced at Ryan. "We've only begun to show them what humans are capable of," she whispered. Ryan nodded. "Yes, and we must be careful. Curiosity can lead to respect, but arrogance can lead to conflict. We are not here to destroy them. We are here to prove that humans deserve recognition, not subjugation or underestimation." High Prince Vorin turned to his council, the tension in his posture unmistakable. "We must report this," he said. "We cannot hide what happened here. Humans are not what our history records say. They are more. They are dangerous. We must understand them before we attempt any diplomacy." His advisors looked concerned, whispering among themselves. Many feared that this revelation would shake the foundations of their empire. Humans had always been considered a minor threat, insignificant in the great expanse of the galaxy. Yet now, that assumption lay in ruins. One young scout, who had barely survived the encounter, stepped forward hesitantly. "My prince," he said, voice trembling, "if a single human squad can defeat us so easily, what chance does the Empire have if they decide to fight in full strength?" Vorin did not answer immediately. He stared at the human commanders, his mind racing. "We will not make assumptions," he said finally. "But we will observe. We will learn." And we will not make the mistake of underestimating them again. Ryan smiled faintly, sensing the shift in attitude. Humans did not seek to intimidate or boast. They only demonstrated their capabilities through action. It was a lesson that aliens often failed to grasp. We will leave soon, Ryan said. But remember, this was only a scout unit. Humans in larger numbers can achieve much more. Treat every encounter with respect, or you will regret underestimating us. The aliens swallowed hard, some visibly shaken. Even those trained to suppress emotion could not hide the fear and awe in their expressions. The idea that humans, small and seemingly fragile, could outmatch them was almost incomprehensible. High Prince Vorin finally gave a reluctant nod. We will take your warning seriously, he said. Prepare to depart, humans. You have made a strong impression. That will not be forgotten. Rian and Mara prepared their squad for departure. They moved with calm precision, dismantling temporary equipment and scanning for lingering threats. Their efficiency only reinforced the lesson they had already taught. Humans survived because they were disciplined, intelligent, and adaptable. As the human craft lifted off, the Thalorians watched silently. The smoke and haze obscured their vision, but they could feel the presence of something greater, something unexpected within these small, resilient beings. Vorin finally turned to his council. We have fought only a scout unit, he said solemnly. Only a small group of humans. Imagine what an entire human fleet could do. We must prepare, for the universe is not as simple as we believed. The words hung in the air like a warning. The Thalorian Empire had underestimated humans for centuries. That mistake had cost them pride and shaken the confidence of their warriors. From this day forward, humans would no longer be considered insignificant. They were a species to be watched, respected, and feared, and the humans, as their craft disappeared into the stars, knew they had only begun to show the galaxy the true strength of their kind. The human vessel cut through the dark expanse of space with quiet precision. Inside, Commander Ryan monitored the navigation system while Lieutenant Mara ran diagnostic scans on the ship's energy shields. The mission had been a demonstration, a warning to the Thalorian Empire, but the implications were far larger than anyone had anticipated. This is incredible, Mara said, her eyes scanning the holographic display. They were shocked. I could see it in their eyes. Even their High Prince didn't know how to react. Humans are unlike anything they've ever seen. Ryan nodded, his fingers moving over the console. They underestimated us because of assumptions. They believed size, numbers, and armor were everything. They forgot to consider willpower, intelligence, and adaptability. Humans survive where others fail because we think beyond what is expected. Mara leaned back and crossed her arms. Do you think they will report this to the Empire? They will, Rian said calmly. And they will not present us as weak. They may even exaggerate our strength out of fear. That works to our advantage, but we have to prepare for their next moves. Curiosity can be dangerous if it turns into aggression. Outside the viewport, distant stars streaked by as the ship moved faster than the speed of light. Somewhere beyond the edges of human-controlled space, the Thalorian Empire was digesting what had just happened. Meanwhile, on the Thalorian command ship orbiting their homeworld, High Prince Vorin paced in front of his council. His posture was tense, unlike the confident stance he usually maintained. We cannot ignore this, he said. Humans are not a minor species. They are efficient, intelligent, and dangerous. I underestimated them. That was a mistake we cannot repeat. One advisor, a seasoned warrior named Corrin, spoke carefully. High Prince, their demonstration was limited. It was only a small human squad. Perhaps it was luck. Perhaps they caught us off guard. Vorin shook his head. It was no accident. Luck does not account for strategy, adaptability, and coordination. They thought, we reacted, and yet they survived every scenario. We must study them, observe them, learn their patterns. Only then can we hope to counter them. Back aboard the human ship, Rian and Mara reviewed the data collected during the encounter. The Thalorian formations, their weapon efficiency, and their response times, all were recorded for analysis. Humans had always learned from every engagement, and this was no exception. Look at this, Ryan said, pointing to a holographic display. Every maneuver they attempted, they expected us to counter directly. But we didn't follow their expectations. Instead, we created unpredictable patterns. That was the key to survival. Mara nodded. And they have no concept of improvisation. Everything they do is trained, repeated, and calculated. Humans don't need repetition to react correctly. We improvise, adjust, and succeed. That's why they were so confused. Ryan studied the display further. They will rebuild their simulations. They will train for months or years to counter humans, but we will continue evolving. Every encounter makes us stronger. That is how humans survive against impossible odds. Hours passed as the ship sailed through deep space. Ryan allowed himself a brief moment of reflection. Humans had always faced threats far larger and stronger than themselves. Their history was built on resilience, innovation, and unity. This mission, though small, was another proof of what humans could achieve. "Do you think they understand now?" Mara asked quietly. "They understand a little," Ryan replied. "But understanding takes time. Respect takes even longer, and fear when it grows can turn into aggression. We must be ready for all three." Meanwhile, on the Thalorian homeworld, news of the encounter spread quickly. Soldiers who had faced the humans told their superiors, and their reports carried a mixture of shock and admiration. Never had they fought opponents who could anticipate, adapt, and survive so effectively. Voren listened to the reports with a furrowed brow. Humans are dangerous not because they are physically superior, but because they think differently. Their strength is not in brute force, it is in unity, adaptability, and willpower. We must respect that or we will be defeated. The young scouts, who had barely survived the encounter, shared their fears openly. "If a single human squad can do this," one said, "then a larger human force could overwhelm entire fleets. We are not prepared for this." Voren turned to them, his eyes serious. "We will prepare, but preparation alone is not enough. We must learn. Study every encounter. Every mistake we made today must never happen again. Humans are not a threat we can face with arrogance." Back aboard the human ship, Ryan and Mara continued to analyze their collected data. They considered the possibilities ahead: diplomatic negotiations, defensive encounters, and the potential of Thalorian aggression. Humans had always faced larger, technologically superior forces before. They thrived under such pressure. "Do you think they will attack?" Mara asked. "Perhaps," Ryan said. "But if they do, it will not be out of hatred. It will be out of curiosity or fear. Humans can handle either. As long as we stay focused and united, fear can be turned into respect if approached correctly." The ship's sensors detected a small fleet on the horizon, moving toward a distant system. Ryan frowned. "Scan those ships. Let's see who is approaching." Mara activated the sensors and the display revealed an incoming Thalorian reconnaissance fleet. "They are sending observers," she said. "Not an attack, but they are watching. They want to understand us better." Ryan nodded. "Good, let them watch. But we will remain ready. Humans do not cower. We prepare, we act, and we survive. Let's make sure they understand that fully." The Thalorian observers approached cautiously, keeping a respectful distance. Their ships were sleek, designed for speed and tactical advantage, but they maintained formation, signaling caution. They had learned one lesson already. Humans were unpredictable and dangerous, even in small numbers. Inside the human ship, Ryan prepared a communication channel. "Open a secure line," he said. "Let them speak. Let them see our intent. Humans survive because we communicate, cooperate, and adapt. That is how we turn fear into understanding." The Thalorian lead ship responded, projecting a holographic image of High Prince Voren. His expression was cautious but composed. "Humans," he said, "we wish to understand. Your recent actions have surprised us. We seek knowledge, not conflict. Show us why your species is considered resilient. Teach us if you will, but do not underestimate us again." Ryan met his gaze steadily. "We will demonstrate, but not to boast. Humans act through example. We survive through adaptability, intelligence, and unity. You have seen a fraction of what we can do. Respect it, and you will learn without conflict." Voren's mandibles twitched. "We will observe carefully, and we will report everything to the Council. Your abilities cannot be ignored. The Empire will not dismiss humans again." Mara watched the holographic exchange and smiled faintly. "We've made an impression," she said. "They are learning what humans are capable of, even if they do not admit it fully." Ryan turned back to the controls. "And we will continue to make our mark. Humans do not seek domination, but we do not accept underestimation. Let them learn through experience, not arrogance. That is how we survive and thrive." As the human vessel continued its journey, both sides were left with a new understanding. The Thalorians had seen only a scout unit. Yet that small group had challenged their assumptions, shattered their expectations, and left an impression that would influence every future encounter. Rian reflected quietly. Humans had always turned disadvantages into advantages. Every time the odds seemed against them, they found a way to survive. And now, across the stars, the message was clear. Humans were not weak. Humans were not simple. And humans were not to be underestimated. In the silent depths of space, the two civilizations moved forward, one observing, the other leading by example. And somewhere in that vast darkness, the story of humans' resilience, intelligence, and courage was beginning to spread, quietly but powerfully, across the galaxy. The encounter had only just begun. The human vessel glided through the empty darkness of space, the stars streaking past like distant fires. Commander Rian sat at the helm, his hand steady on the controls. Lieutenant Mara monitored the ship's sensors, ensuring everything remained operational. The memory of the encounter with the Thalorian scout unit still lingered in their minds, but the mission was far from over. The galaxy was vast, and humans had only begun to show what they were capable of. "This silence feels different," Mara said quietly. "The Thalorians are not attacking, but they are watching. They will report to their empire. I can feel it." Rian nodded without taking his eyes off the navigation console. "Yes, and we must prepare for what comes next. Humans survive because we anticipate challenges, not just react to them. The lessons from today will guide every action tomorrow." Hours passed, and the human vessel approached the edge of Thalorian-controlled space. Sensors detected multiple vessels, much larger than the scout ships they had previously encountered. These were the Thalorian observation fleet, fully equipped and moving in tight formation. Their mission was clear: observe, analyze, and report. Mara's eyes widened slightly. "They brought the whole fleet? This is more than observation. They are testing us, seeing what we can do under pressure." Rian allowed a small smile. "Then we will show them, safely but effectively, why humans survive." As the human vessel came closer, the Thalorian fleet adjusted its position, forming a perimeter around the human's path. High Prince Voran's holographic image appeared on the main screen. His expression was unreadable, a mixture of curiosity, caution, and underlying respect. "Humans," Voran said, his voice steady. "You have surprised us before. Now the Empire watches. We wish to understand your capabilities fully. Show us your strength, your strategy, and why your species endures where others fail." Rian straightened. "We will demonstrate not for pride but for understanding. Humans survive because we think, adapt, and act together. Observe closely, and you will see why the galaxy cannot underestimate us." Mara activated the ship's training simulation programs, but this time, the demonstration would involve actual tactical coordination visible to the Thalorian fleet. The ship released holographic projections of human squads performing complex maneuvers, showing defensive formations, rapid attacks, and synchronized responses to simulated threats. The Thalorian commanders watched in silence as the holograms moved with precision and adaptability. Every tactic the aliens had trained for seemed ineffective against the humans' unpredictable coordination. "This is astonishing," one Thalorian officer whispered. "Every move is logical yet unexpected. They react instantly as if anticipating every possibility." Rian's voice filled the bridge. "Humans survive because we do not rely on assumptions. We learn, we adapt, and we act as one. Strength is not always physical. It is intelligence, coordination, and resilience. That is what makes us formidable." Voran's mandibles twitched in thought. He realized the human strength lay not in weapons or armor, but in their unity, their capacity to innovate in real time, and their relentless will to survive. For centuries, the Thalorians had relied on power, training, and numerical superiority. Humans did not follow those rules. Humans created their own. Outside, the Thalorian fleet adjusted its formations, attempting to counter the humans' projected strategies. Yet every adjustment was met with another layer of adaptability. Humans did not just survive. They taught through action. The Thalorians were witnessing a demonstration of thinking, learning, and evolving all in real time. Mara leaned over the controls. "They are studying us more closely than ever. Every ship, every formation, every maneuver, they will record it all. They may even rethink their entire approach to combat after this." Rian nodded. "Good, let them learn. But humans survive because we act, not because we are feared. Respect must come from understanding, not intimidation. The hours passed as humans continued the demonstration. They showed how a small group could defend against a larger force, how they could anticipate enemy movements, and how quick thinking and teamwork could overcome superior numbers. The Thalorians observed everything, their initial confidence slowly replaced by cautious admiration. Finally, the Thalorian High Prince spoke again. "Your species is remarkable. We underestimated you, and that was a grave mistake. Humans are not merely resilient. You are innovative, united, and strategic. Your strength is not in size or technology alone, but in your will and intelligence." Rian allowed himself a small nod. "Humans survive because we learn from every encounter. We improve, adapt, and face challenges with clarity and focus. That is what makes us capable of more than others expect." Voran leaned back in his command chair. His council members were visibly shaken yet inspired. They had believed themselves invincible, superior in every measure. Now they understood that humans were not just another species. They were an example of what determination, unity, and intellect could achieve. One young Thalorian officer spoke hesitantly. "High Prince, if humans can accomplish this with a single squad, what could they achieve with an entire fleet?" Voran's gaze hardened. "Exactly. That is why respect and understanding are necessary before engagement. Humans must never be underestimated again. They survive where others fail because they do not follow the expected path. They forge their own." Ryan turned to Mara. "We've done what we came to do. The Thalorians now understand, at least in part, why humans are capable. They will carry this knowledge back to their empire. We have made an impression that cannot be ignored." Mara smiled. "And they will think twice before challenging humans. That is the difference we make, not through fear, but through demonstration of capability and intelligence." The human vessel prepared to depart from the Thalorian observation zone. The fleet maintained formation, escorting them for a brief distance, a silent acknowledgement of the humans' skill and coordination. Then, without warning, the humans accelerated away, leaving the Thalorians to process what they had witnessed. High Prince Voran remained on the bridge of his ship, deep in thought. "We only fought a human scout unit," he murmured. "Yet they have shown us what humans can achieve. This will change everything. The way we train, the way we fight, the way we understand the universe. Humans are not to be underestimated. They are extraordinary." Back aboard their ship, Rian and Mara reviewed the data one last time. Every movement, every decision, every adaptation had been recorded, analyzed, and logged. Humans had survived again, and they had left a mark on an empire that had once dismissed them as insignificant. "Do you think they will ever truly understand humans?" Mara asked. Rian smiled faintly. "Perhaps not fully. Understanding a species like ours takes time. But they will respect us, and that is enough for now. Humans survive because we act, because we adapt, and because we never stop learning. That is what others will remember." The stars stretched endlessly ahead. The galaxy was full of challenges, unknown civilizations, and dangers far greater than any single human squad could face. Yet humans had always risen to the occasion. With intelligence, unity, and determination, they would continue to survive, thrive, and show the universe the true strength of their kind. As the human ship disappeared into the vastness of space, the Thalorian Empire began its own journey of realization. The story of the scout unit's encounter would ripple across fleets, colonies, and councils. Humans were not weak. Humans were not predictable. Humans were survivors, thinkers, and fighters who could change the balance of power simply by being who they were. High Prince Voran finally leaned back, exhausted but enlightened. "We underestimated them," he admitted quietly. "We cannot do that again. Humans are a force unlike any other, and the universe will have to acknowledge them. That is the lesson of today." And so the human scout unit moved forward, leaving a legacy of courage, intelligence, and resilience. The galaxy had learned in its own way that humans were a species to respect, to study, and to never dismiss. One small squad had faced a powerful empire and survived. One small squad had changed perceptions. One small squad had shown that humans in the vast universe were extraordinary. The stars continued to shine around them. But now, everywhere humans would go, their presence would carry a quiet power. The kind of power that comes not from dominance but from courage, intellect, and the unshakable will to survive. The universe had witnessed humans in action. And from this day forward, no one would forget.